this is Miss Martinez, and today we're going to be reading a new story, and I'm going to share my screen so you guys can see it. Okay, so this story is called How Did That Get in My Lunchbox? And it is a story that maybe some of you have read already, but we're going to read it again. Okay, so this story is an informational story, so it's nonfiction, and it's going to give us real facts. Okay, and before we start, we're going to review some of the vocabulary words. Stock, dairy, curds, tingly, scarlet, and groove. I'm going to show you some. Stalk. So stalk is a stalk is the main stem of a plant. Then we have dairy. Dairy is a place where milk is prepared for drinking or is made into other products like butter, cream, and cheese. We have curds. Curds are the lumps that form in milk when it turns sour. Tingly. Something that feels tingly, stings a little, or feels prickly. Scarlet. If something is scarlet, it's a bright red color. Do we have grove? Let me see. Yeah, grove is the last one. Grove. A grove is a group of trees that are close to one another. So they're very close together. Okay, so now let's get started with the story.
One of the best parts of the day is when you lift the lid of your lunchbox to see what's inside. Your parents have packed it with lots of tasty things to eat. They probably got all the food from a grocery store, but food doesn't grow in stores.
Do you think that food grows in stores?
So where did it come from before it was in the store? Just how did all this food get in your lunchbox? How did the bread in your sandwich get in your lunchbox? A farmer planted seeds in spring, and by summer they'd grown into tall, waving wheat with fat, ripe grains at the tip of every stalk. The farmer cut the wheat with a giant combine harvester and sent it to a flour mill. Stalk. A stalk is the main stem of a plant. The miller ground the grains into flour, and trucks took the flour to a bakery. The baker mixed the flour with water, sugar, and yeast, kneaded it into a soft, squishy dough, and baked it in a very hot oven. Grains, flour, yeast, sugar, water. Out came fresh loaves of bread, ready to send to the store. Take a bite of the bread in your sandwich. Mmm, crusty on the outside and soft in the middle.
Okay, so in this, I want to go get my book because I brought it with me. So in this page, we see some text features, some graphic and some text features. So we see the word yeast, sugar, water, flour, grains, and these are all labels, okay? They're labels because they're pointing to a certain area of a picture. Now, this also is kind of like a diagram. Why do you think the author included this in the story, in the picture? Why do you think he included it? Okay, he did it to show us how the grain is changing. Okay, he wanted to show us how from here, from the stalk, they cut it, the wheat and the grain is changing. Okay, once the grains goes in here, in the miller, it grinds them up, and it comes out to a flour, the flour. In español es harina, la harina. And then they mix it and they, which I'm sure you've kind of seen your mom do something like this. And then when they come out, the dough comes out, they put it in the oven. Now you have bread.
How did the cheese in your sandwich get in your lunchbox? Your cheese was once milk that came from a cow. A farmer milked the cows, and a tanker from the dairy came to collect the milk. Dairy. A dairy is a place where milk is prepared for drinking or is made into other products like butter, cream, and cheese. 1. In the dairy, cheesemakers warmed up the milk. 2. And added bacteria to make it turn sour and how did the cheese in your sandwich get in your 2. And added bacteria to make it turn sour and thick. 3. Then they added a substance that animals use to digest milk called rennet. 4. And it changed again into bits called curds, floating in whey. 5. They drained off the whey, chopped up the rubbery curds, added some salt, and pressed them into blocks. 6. They stored the blocks for months until the cheese was ripe. Bite into your cheese. It's creamy and smooth, but tasty too, and tingly on your tongue. Curds. Curds are the lumps that form in milk when it turns sour. Tingly. Something that feels tingly, stings a little, or feels prickly.
Okay, I wanted to show you the full screen of this page because we can see that here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the author is showing you a process, the process of where does the cheese come from, right? And we see that it all starts with what? Milk. It all starts, the cheese was once, is it right here? Milk. Okay, and this is my text evidence. It's right there. Okay, let's go to the next page.
How did your tomatoes get in your lunchbox? Last summer, your tomatoes were growing in a big plastic tunnel full of tomato plants. The sun and the warmth made the plants grow tall and bloom with yellow flowers. As each flower died, a tiny green tomato fruit began to grow from its middle. Day by day, the plants sucked up water and the tomatoes swelled from green to orange to red. When bunches of ripe scarlet tomatoes dangled from the branches, the grower picked them, sorted them, packed them, and sent them to the store. Pop one in your mouth and squish the sweet sour juice out. Scarlet. If something is scarlet, it is a bright red color.
Now we're seeing the tomatoes.
How did your apple juice get in your lunchbox? Last spring, the apple trees in the orchard were full of flowers. In summer, tiny apple buds grew from each flower stalk. The buds kept growing, and by autumn, the trees were full of ripe, sweet fruit. Pickers climbed into the trees and filled their bins with fruit. A truck took the bins to the juice factory, where sorters threw out any rotten apples. 1. Then a machine washed the rest. 2. And mashed them in a milling machine, seeds, skin, and all. 3. A huge press squeezed the mash till all its juice ran out. 4. A heater warmed up the juice to kill off any germs. 5. And poured it into cartons. Suck hard on your straw to taste the apple tang.
Okay, so we're seeing a process of repetition. They showed us first the grain, then they showed us the cheese, they showed us the tomatoes. Now they're showing us the apple. Okay, and everything is in sequence, right? They're telling us first, second, third, fourth, fifth. So some, they're even using transition words, like first, second, third, or in the beginning, at the end. Let's see.
How
we're
did
gonna
your
talk about-
carrots get
Now we're going to talk about carrots.
in your lunchbox? Last spring, your carrots were growing in a field on a vegetable farm. You wouldn't have seen any carrots then, just long rows of feathery leaves. As the leaves grew taller in the summer sun, each carrot root pushed deeper into the earth, soaking up water and turning orange. By late summer, they had swelled so much that the top of each carrot poked out of the earth. Pickers pulled them up. Then the carrots were washed and packed into trucks. Bite into your carrot. See just how sweet and crunchy it tastes.
Okay, we're almost done. We're going to go to the next one. How did your clementine? Okay, clementine es como una mandarina. Okay, es una mandarina.
How did your clementine get in your lunchbox? Early in summer, the trees in the clementine grove were full of sweet-smelling waxy flowers. As the flowers died, a tiny green clementine berry began to grow out of each one. The clementines swelled in the warm sun, turning from green to yellow. By the time cooler winter weather arrived, the clementines had turned orange and were so heavy and full of juice that they made the branches droop. Grove. A grove is a group of trees that are close to one another. Pickers climbed ladders to reach them. They had to wear gloves so they didn't bruise the tender fruit inside the skin. They washed them and packed them, and the growers sent the boxes in trucks to the market. It's easy to peel a clementine. Then all you have to do is pop the juicy pieces into your mouth and bite. Most clementines are seedless.
Okay, last page.
You've eaten it all, from the first bite of bread to the last piece of fruit. It came from fields and farms, from orchards, from groves, and from dairies. So many people helped bring it to you: farmers and bakers, cheesemakers, pickers, packers, and truck drivers. And now it's all in your stomach, starting to do the job that food does, helping you grow taller and stronger, and giving you get up and go.
Okay, before we stop the video, I want you guys to think, what was the purpose of this? What do you think the purpose was of this story? Why do you think the author wrote this story? To inform us, to persuade us, or to entertain us? The right answer is to inform us. Okay, so they're giving us information about something. All right, you're going to use this story throughout the rest of the week to do some activities that I'm going to put you on Schoology. Okay, so you can always come back to this story and the book that we read if you need help with the questions or with the activities. Okay, the first thing that I'm going to have you do is do the vocabulary card, like the one we used to do in school, but I'm going to have you do it just in sentences. And then we're going to also do the 3 questions. And at the end, we're going to do on Friday, we're going to do the write, okay, like the writing prompt, when you can do it in Schoology. Now, if you know how to go to HMH and read the story, you are very welcome to go back and read the story and use the story there. If you can't get on, then you can use this video. Bye, guys.